Hi, this is Tiffany Lorraine, the Resilient Mother, bringing you another wonderful speaker for Mothers Shape the Future Resilience Summit. Karen, we connected through one of the other experts, and so I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Please tell us about you and what you do.
Thank you, Tiffany. Well, my name is Karen Chaston, and as you can see, I am the co-founder of the Chaston Centre. So we love to help people to move beyond any kind of loss and create their better everyday life. And loss is huge. There are over 40 different loss events that can affect all of our lives. Most people think loss, death of a loved one, but no, it could be a death of a loved one, a divorce, a separation, your job loss, your health, your wealth, your pets. Or during the recent pandemic, many of the minor ones came to the forefront. Loss of freedom, choice, status, identity, changing work conditions, recreational and social activities. I used to be a CPA and a chief financial officer of a publicly listed company here in Australia until I had one of my major loss events, which took me about 15 months to even recognize that I was in total avoidance. So yeah, would you like me to share what that was?
That sounds like a real resilient story that fits right into what I want to share. I want people to share how they built their resilience. And it is these points and these struggles that are part of that story. So please go ahead.
Yeah. So back in July 2011, as I said, I was a CFO of a publicly listed company. My husband and I woke up on a Sunday morning, the 10th of July, thinking we were having a lazy day at home. But within moments, we were running out the back door, looking at our 27-year-old son, Dan, lying there in the fetal position. We thought he had passed out, but unfortunately, he had passed away a couple of hours earlier.
Oh, wow. Oh, I can't imagine.
No, it is a mother's worst nightmare. Yeah. But, you know, me being my tough corporate self, I literally went back to work the day after his funeral, working more, eating more, drinking more, not realizing that I was in avoidance. But, you know, when you think about it, for centuries and centuries, that's what we've all been told. Keep busy, give it time, everything will be all right, everything will go back to normal. And you're like, you know what? What is normal to start with? Because there is no such thing.
No.
And secondly, it will never go back to normal. And I feel it's not designed to go back to normal. I'm always going to have that empty chair at the table. And though I have to say, and it took me a long time to get here, well, in saying that, probably not as long as most, I am so connected to my son, Dan. I credit him with writing all of my books. I credit him with creating all of my programs. I have a better relationship with him on the other side than what I did here, because we just are together every day. Whereas obviously at 27, he wasn't hanging out with his mum every day like he is now. So yeah, it is beautiful. But so what happened was then about 15 months after Dan passed, the company I was working for was merging with another. And during that process, they said to me, Karen, you're not going to be CFO in the new company, but we want you to come with us. You'll be doing everything you're doing now plus more, and please come. And initially I went, yeah, sure. You know, what does a title matter? Who cares? Until they gave me my contract. And they gave me the greatest gift by giving me a contract, which was for 2/3 of what my current salary was, because I would have gone with them. But I didn't. I chose redundancy, which is laid off. And that was the best thing I could have done, because what I did was I stopped and I looked at myself and I went, I don't like who you are. You are unhealthy. You're not being true to yourself. You are, you know, my eyes looked dead, and everything about me was I had lost who I was. So I went on the journey to find me. And in that journey, not only did I find me, I found that I had all of these talents which I had denied. You know, writing, speaking. I can remember sitting there looking at my CEOs throughout my whole career going, wow, look at them. There's no way I could stand out the front and talk the way they do. Now it's like, grab the hook, get her off the stage. You know, she's just like there and she's not leaving. And I just love it. But it's really quite amazing how we hold ourselves back without even realizing that that's what we're doing. So, yeah, so I became a life coach who specializes in loss. And the more I deep dived into it, the more I realized that we don't do loss very well in the West. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to think about it. Most of us never know what to say.
No.
So we end up suffering in silence, in isolation, affecting all areas of our life, especially our health, our relationships, and our professional life.
Absolutely. In my own grief over the loss of opportunities and things over the last 2 years, last 5 years from being divorced, especially, I realized that I was holding back a lot of that pain. I was just pushing through. I have this tendency to just push through. But at some point, the volcano erupts and it has to come out. And luckily, I found some healthy ways to do that. So there are a lot of destructive ways to do that. And I grew up in a home where, you know, it was just that generation. Children were seen and not heard. And so trusting my own intuition, don't feel bad, don't cry, that all builds up. So when finally burst, it's like 30 years or more of the dam breaking. And that was such a good thing to finally release. But it was really, really intense. And
it is intense. Totally. But how much lighter do you feel when it all releases? Exactly. How much taller do you stand and straighter, and you're not weighed down by everything that has happened in your life. And it is a deep dive that is very, very painful, but it's the most rewarding thing you can ever do in your life.
Because then you feel the most alive. Because like you were saying, your eyes were dead. It was just going through the motions. It was just going day to day. And with technology and social media and all these instant gratification distractions that we have, we're not really living. We're like robots and consumers. And that's not what we want, especially for the next generation. And that's what I want for the summit, to realize, you know, moms, we can do something about this. We can be more aware. We can make sure it doesn't go that far. We can give the kids the tools to really thrive. And like you did, no matter what's happened, there's a way to continue that relationship with your child. I'm a birth mother, and a lot of people don't understand that being a birth mother is a very bittersweet experience. You do want to give your child their best chance, but they're still alive, but they're with someone else. So the opportunities are
I'm a birth mother as well, Tiffany.
Are you too? I didn't know that. So you get it.
No, you didn't. But my daughter is in my life. She came into my life over 20 years ago, nearly 21 years ago now. And it's only in the last couple of years that we're having the proper relationship, a more loving relationship, a healing relationship. Because most people don't realize the trauma that the baby and the mother go through.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone just sees it as, oh, these beautiful people who have adopted this child and have accepted it into their home. And it is a beautiful thing. But no one sees the other side of it, the trauma that the baby goes through at the time of birth. Imagine having abandonment as the first thing that you feel, and you're crying for your mother. And your mother is not there because your mother has been coerced into believing that the best thing they can ever do for their child is to give them to another family.
Yeah. And in my situation, my child was actually 9 months old. And I went and I stayed with the couple to help the adjustment, but it was still, there were still those kind of consequences. Like it seemed like it would make sense for it to, you know, there are the stories where it turns out great. There honestly are. There are the stories where the couple does great, the mom gets to stay involved, the child does well and thrives. But this trauma piece sometimes can really be a detriment. I know I didn't have the support I needed after my adoption. I did a lot of support during,
I was 16,
but not after.
Yeah. It was 1973. I was 16. So there was no support. It was okay, we won't talk about that anymore. It's time for you just to forget about it, to move on. And I thought, well, yeah, sure. My mother was telling me that. My mother had 7 children. So I thought, okay, yeah, sure, I'll be able to do that. No way. You always think about your child.
Yeah, I mean, they spend the minute that you know about them and they're in your body at a cellular level, you're connected with them, and that doesn't go away. And the times I have gotten to be with my oldest child, it's funny, we have a lot of the same traits. It was an open adoption, and as much as we were apart, there's still all these little idiosyncrasies that are ours, that are genetic, that are biological, that you can't take away, and a bond that you can't take away. And I'm looking forward to when I can get to your point and that we have a proper relationship. We're in touch, but we're not quite there yet. But
it takes a lot of work. Have you both read the book, The Primal Wound?
No, I'll have to look into it.
Oh, read it.
Okay.
We both read it. She read it a couple of years before she mentioned it to me. That is a book that I feel that if we had it on very early in our relationship, we would have had a not only an understanding of each other, but I think her parents would have been involved, because her parents were very much, don't talk to me about her. There is, she, you're my child, she doesn't exist, or very unhealthy, which caused our relationship to be unhealthy because, she felt she was living a double life, which I understand.
Yeah.
But she's like, but I have to see you. Like, you're my mom as well, and she really is a nurturer in nature. And that's the best way to describe who she is. She is a mixture of both of us. She would have been a completely different woman to who she is now if she had stayed with me. I would have been a completely different woman. So, it's always about understanding that who you are today, you are the sum of your past experiences.
Yes.
And I really love who I am. It's taken me a long time to get here. And it's really important for us to be able to realize that when we do really love who we understand that, there will be things that we would like to apologize for, to forgive, and to acknowledge. And that's the beauty of it, is to be able to do that from a loving point of view, with no regrets and no anger and no blame.
And lead from a place of love. And when you love yourself, then that love shines out to others. And I'm seeing that time and time again with the speakers that are coming and are willing to share like you are today, is once you do that healing and that work for yourself, not only do you start attracting the people that you should be into your life, you're able to be a light to others and give them permission to also find their authentic self and just own, this is my journey. This is my unique experience. And I've learned from it and I've grown from it. And it's helped me be who I am today and give me the skills that I need to serve, to help someone else, to change a way of thinking, to speak about something that maybe people aren't willing to talk about, that needs to be talked about, so they don't feel alone, so they can feel validated and know that life happens. Life is hard sometimes, but
you are so right. And it's funny that you say that, because my daughter and I are in the process of writing a book about our journey. But the last part of the book is us giving advice on a better way to do the reunion, so from a birth mother's perspective and then from an adoptee's perspective.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think
we did it the hard way.
Yeah, there's no guide
for that. We did it the really hard way. So we're like, it took us really about 20 years for us to get together in the way, it's the space that we're in now. Like, we still have our little ups and downs, but we, in the last year, we have been away just one-on-one together 5 times. It might be for 3 days here or 5 days there, but we really do enjoy each other's companies. And you are so right. We have so many similarities and, so many different things. And what we find is when we're in the kitchen together, we flow. And even though we've very rarely been in the kitchen together, and we did it right from the start, and it's, it's really interesting to watch how much we do actually flow. So, yeah.
Do you find you like the same things too?
Some things we don't like the things, but it took her probably 18 years to admit that we look alike, and we look very much alike, like very much. She even this is how funny it is. Like, she dyed her hair dark so that she didn't look like me, and I'm like, wow. This is like, during those not so ideal years. And I went, really? She went, yeah. And I went, I can't believe you did that. She said, she said, but, and it took her a long time to admit that. But it is an interesting journey. And it's a journey of understanding so many of our not so ideal times were through misunderstandings. I didn't say that. You may have interpreted it that way, but that's not what I said. And then when we went back and we talked about it, she goes, oh yeah, now I can understand that. Or I'd go, oh yeah, you're right. So here we are angry at each other, and the other person is like, why are they angry at me? I don't get this. And it's through misunderstandings. And it's like what you're saying, it's like having the courage to say it, to actually say, I don't understand why you're reacting this way. That's not what I said. So please explain what you've just heard, because that was not my intention.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for people to do that.
And especially in situations you were never prepared for. I mean, I was never planning to be a divorced mom. I was never planning to be a pregnant and single mom, especially in the middle of a world pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, and in those situations, you're almost sorting out your own feelings because there's no guide. And so you have to really be in tune with yourself of, what do I need? What do I want? How do I meet my needs? How do I communicate my needs? And if you can't do that, that's part of the conflict. It's almost this dance of, I want to meet your needs, but I don't know how. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand, and it's willing to use the love that you have for each other to work past that and to bring that union together.
Yeah.
And I just love how you have these different ways you've done it.
Work.
Birth mom and your son. And is that all of your children, or do you have more children?
No, I have 2 other children. So Dan, who passed, is a twin. So Dan was my youngest by a minute. So he has a twin brother, Josh, and an older brother, Ben, who's 2.5 years older. So 4 children overall. And it's not easy, but it's good. So I have 2 boys who live close to me, and my daughter lives in Sydney. So, which is good. But we see each other more often now. The pandemic we couldn't see each other. So it was probably, I think it was like 18 months where we couldn't see each other for that time. But when we did get together, that's when we really started to really heal and have conversations and start to understand our misunderstandings. So it's not easy life I've chosen. Not sure why I've done it, but we're like, but adoption and adoptees and all of that sort of thing, no matter where you are in that triad, whether you're the adoptive parents or the adoptee or the birth parents, none of it is easy. None of it. Everyone suffers in some way or the other. And it's really important for everyone to understand that, because they've done a really good, the adoption industry has done a really good rhetoric on the adoptive parents are the lifesavers and everyone else is the bad people in it. And it's really important for people to understand that's not the case. When I first sent my letter to my daughter, she was 22. Because the laws changed in Australia. It was a closed adoption, and I could find her. And, one of her girlfriends said, why would you want to have any contact with that horrible person who just threw you away?
And they don't understand the sacrifice.
No one understands.
No,
I was 16 and it was like, seriously, I didn't throw her away. But and they don't understand. So she's had a lot of people in her head saying similar things to her for most of her life. So it is about understanding that there are always reasons. And there was also in Australia, we've watched many documentaries, and I'm sure it was the same worldwide, where the women in the 50s, 60s and 70s the social worker was saying we had one job, and our job was to get that adoption form signed.
Mm-hmm.
And all we had to do was shut them up, stop them crying, get them to sign it.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter how we did it, as long as it happened.
Yes.
So, you can judge people as much as you want, but when you start to hear the other side of it, the woman is full of oxytocin. She's just given birth, and within 2 days you're signing this form, and it's like, seriously? So, yeah. So that's one of my major losses, and obviously my son, and then, my job. So that's what I'm saying. And that's why I love what I do, because helping people to have a different perspective, helping people to understand that when you know what to do, you will naturally become more resilient. You won't go down. You won't go into isolation. You won't be utilizing all of your avoidance tactics, which are just shoving your emotions down, which, as you said earlier, will come up eventually, and normally at the most inopportune moment. So it's about understanding and educating ourselves. And everything I teach ideally would be fabulous if people understood it as teenagers. Would they have valued it? Maybe not. But it'd be like that maths problem, 20 years later, you go, oh, that's right. What was the formula for that? What do I do? How do I do it? It'd be something like that, where you can just go, all right, I remember learning these steps. Okay, what were the steps that I can do, so that I know what to do when loss comes? Because loss is going to come, and loss is change. And change can be a good thing if you can understand, right, where am I now? Who do I want to be? And what are the steps to get there? How can I close that gap and close that gap and close that gap? Not just overall, but in every single area of my life. Absolutely. And that's what I love about what I do, because I help people to create that better everyday life.
And I don't think anyone should be alone in loss or grief. No. And I think that's the disconnect with birth parents, is they're like, oh, now you just forget and you go on with your life. You can't. That was something that was not the best advice for me, because I had my daughter for 9 months, and my child, and I was to go act like it never happened. Every time I saw a child, my heart hurt. Like, and every relationship I got into, because I'd been given that advice, when the truth came out, I was just blacklisted. Like, how could you hide something like that? Or why would you do it? And I wish I had just been upfront with it to begin with, because then the right person who could understand me and could handle it would have showed up a lot better in my life. And so
I totally agree. And I'm always so grateful that I told my husband, who was my boyfriend, or, more or less on our first date, that I had had a child. And he was like, yes, so, sort of thing. Whereas if you keep this secret, and when my children, with my husband, we've been married 44 years, when they found out about my daughter, the twins were 17 and Ben was 20. And they were like, oh, so why haven't you told us before? What's this big secret about? And so what's that all about? And it's like, well, what's the right age to tell you? Right. And, now as adults, there is no right age. Like, do I tell you when you're young that you have this sister out there that you'll never ever meet? Mm-hmm. Or because at that stage, that's what the case was. Or do I tell you as teenagers, when you're starting to do and explore who you are and all those sort of things? That's probably not the ideal way to do it either. So it was always a really hard thing. And as adults now, they understand and they go, yeah, I don't know the right answer to that question. There is no right answer. Sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. Being open and honest is always the best thing. It's funny that you say that. I saw a movie last night. I can't remember what it was called, but in that it more or less said, no relationship that is based on lies and secrets will ever run its
can't be a real relationship. No. It's living a lie. And you'll never understand the value of living the truth if you're living a lie. All 4 of my children haven't been in the same room together yet. I actually really long for the day when all of my children get to be in a picture with me. And I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yes.
But I really look
forward to it. I have one, but I have another one at Dan's memorial. When a year after he passed, I have a photo of me with my 3 living children, and he's in this big blown up photo behind us. which is really beautiful anyway. So yeah, but I do have one with them in it, just one before that. So yeah.
Well, and I do want to honor adoptive parents. I know there are like a lot of fertility issues, and that struggle can be really hard, and I get it. And I'm grateful to the parents who raised my daughter and be in those roles I couldn't be. I wanted to be, but I couldn't be the way things were as they were. And I do wish things had been more culturally acceptable to be more involved, and there was more support on my end to be able to do that. It would have made healing a lot easier, and the shame and the guilt and the loss would have been something to process quickly and throughout like my whole 20s pretty much.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's not easy for any of those people, but I do highly recommend that if you are part of that triad in any way, to read Nancy Verrier's book, The Primal Wound, because it does heal all of the relationships, and it is written for the adoptee. And there's not many books that are written from that perspective. So yeah, it is a great book. It's a great healing book. It's a great reconciliation book, bringing people together as a blended family. It really is a great healing book.
And so many families today are not traditional anymore. There's so much divorce. There are so many different versions of family now. So it's probably healing for a lot of people from a lot of different perspectives. So we've got foster kids, we have blended families, we have divorced families, we have single parent families, we have birth parents, we have adoptive. I mean, there are so many versions of families today. So anything that can help them be resilient.
Exactly.
Wonderful. And I look forward to hearing about your book that comes out. That I think that'll be very powerful for a lot of people and to help.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it will be too. And it's because we write our story, but we also write, we will talk about something that happened, and then the other person will bring in their perspective, which is completely different. And it's highlighting what I said earlier, the fact that, not even between a birth mother and an adoptee, but it's between most people. We have these conversations where we misinterpret. It's really important to hear other sides and go, wow, that's certainly not what happened. It's a shame to talk about. Yeah, but we're excited about it. She's probably taken a little bit longer to write her part of it, but that's okay. I've written, this is going to be my 10th book, so it's completely different to her first.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, I could use your insights. Everyone's like, write a book. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to figure out how I want to write it. So I admire that so much. So if you could define resilience in a sentence, or if you could just define it in your own way, how would you define it?
It is a learned skill. Most people think it's you have it or you don't. No. So resilience to me is knowing what to do when life throws a curveball at you, when something unusual happens and you know what to do. And most people are like, oh, I have no idea what to do. And of course, and sometimes if something happens at you, the first time you choose what to do, you will reflect back and go, wow, I could have done this better. I could have done this. So and that's why it's a learned skill. It's something that you can learn and you can build on and build on and build on. And it is about how you think, what you do. And that's why I love what I do, because I teach people what to do, when loss, any sort of curveball comes to you. But it is in hindsight. But the more you learn it, for next time.
Exactly. And then you bounce back faster and you're stronger.
No, you don't actually bounce back, Tiffany. You bounce forward.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely.
Because, you don't want to go back to who you were. You're not going to go back. So you're going to bounce forward and into a position where you're meant to be. And I'm a great believer that everything happens in your life for a reason. It's maybe to stop you in your tracks and to get you back onto a different pathway, onto your pathway, because let's face it, life is one big distraction. And we can sort of spend way too long in some place without, developing ourselves or being that person that we had came here to be. So it is about understanding it. So resilience is really important for people to know. It's a learned skill.
Absolutely.
It's not a matter of you have it or you don't. No one is born resilient. All you got to do is look at a little baby to know they're not that resilient. If they didn't have someone looking after them, what's going to happen? So understand that and just know that it is a skill where you go, okay, You stop after something happens, after whatever you did, and then reflect. Okay, how could have I done that better? What, what will I not do next time? What will I do next time? What will I continue to do next time? And that's how you build it. And that's how you learn how to become resilient.
I love that, because they're taking the responsibility on for that. And with that, I would add, it's unique to you.
Yes.
I know I need exercise every day and I need music. That's me. Somebody else might need time outside. You have your bond with cooking, and we all have something different. So my goal with this summit is that everyone hears these stories and writes down these tools and these tips and find the ones that work for you. And then you'll know your resilient superpowers, the way to bounce forward, as you put it. This has been lovely. It's such an honor. And what a pleasant surprise in our interview to find out we had something in common. And
I know. We didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Isn't it good that we didn't know too much about each other?
It's amazing. And it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and the healing that needs to happen for anyone in difficult situations. I think we both have a heart for that, for sure, because we understand, we've been there. And so more people need that validation to realize they're not alone, they're not different, and they don't have to be alone in that process. So tell us where we can find you and what you'd like to offer this audience today.
Oh, wow. Wow, good question. Okay, so you can find me at the chastoncentre.com, and please note that centre is spelled the English way, not the American way. So CENTRE, and it's .com. So the chastoncentre.com. And I have this Revitalize Your Life program, and it's 45 days of you looking at something different. You matter, your health matters, your music matters, whatever it is. And each day there's a different little thing. It takes about 45 minutes to work through the exercise, just a little video to watch and then something to do. And it is really about revitalizing your life to help you to be able to live and love your life the most way. So that's my gift to everyone.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Please reach out to Karen here. She's given us generously of her heart and been so authentic in what she does and why. And I absolutely love that about this conversation. So thank you so much. Now it is time to dance. And I left my
well, you better
over there. So 1 second, I'm going to go get my music. I'm going to let you have the screen for just a second. So warm up and stretch. Oh, wait, I'm the one.
Okay, well, just remember, I was born in 1957, so I probably dance completely different to everyone else.
Well, the audience gets to vote. So having some moves that are different will be good. I think that'll give you some advantage.
Moves that are different. Oh, okay.
All right.
Not that you can see much.
Let's go. Come on, come on. Here we go. Well, all right, we're gonna have to do something different here. My son accidentally locked me out of YouTube.
Oh,
that's hilarious. Okay. I guess we're not dancing. That's not fun.
All right.
Okay, maybe, hold on. Maybe it worked. Where did it go? There we are. I've never had this difficulty before. Okay.
It says my son, he's going, no, Mom, you're not dancing.
Yeah. Well, usually he's playing it.
Fiddle with the technology and make sure it doesn't happen.
Oh, he loves to dance, so he's always grabbing my phone in meetings to dance. But he's used to the ones where it's okay that we're making noise, because nobody hears our noise. So I've got to retrain him on the quiet stuff. So here we go. Back to speaker view here. There we go.
We're going to run out of time.
Yeah, we'll just dance it out. Oh, thank you so much. This is so much fun. So
it has been fun.
Wonderful. And so I thank you, audience, for being here, getting up and dancing with us, listening to this great story. Please reach out to her, and we'll